destruction to the Caribbean.
The entire country has been decimated.
Also tonight, Bannon's new battle with the Republican establishment.
And that you're out of the White House, you go into war with.
Absolutely.
And a red, white, and blue semifinal at the U.S. Open.
Madison Keys joins the All-American semifinal party.
This is the CBS Evening News.
And good evening, I'm Jeff Glore in Miami. Anthony Mason is in New York, and tonight it's a race to outrun Irma, the most powerful hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic. The fury of this Category 5 storm was seen in the Caribbean, where at least 10 people were killed when Irma tore through there. Here in Florida, more than 1 million live in mandatory evacuation zones, and folks along the Georgia coast have also been ordered to leave. Tonight, Irma should pass over Turks and Caicos on its way to Florida by Sunday morning. Sustained winds are 175 miles an hour. Video from the space station shows Irma's size. Hurricane-force winds extend 70 miles from its center. We want to check in with Lonnie Quinn, chief weathercaster at our New York station WCBS. Lonnie, the forecast is changing.
It is. The new information pushes things a little bit more to the west, and we talk about this being an ominous turn. Well, let's get right to it. We haven't actually begun the turn yet, but there's a picture of Irma. It's enormous. You could fit Texas inside of that. The new forecast come from the National Hurricane Center. Let's display that for you because we're in very much in agreement. It's going to continue this trek to the west-northwest. Here's where it becomes a little iffy, though. This is the iffy part. When does it start this turn to the north? And you got to notice here, between these two yellow lines, anything is at play. So the west coast, east coast of Florida, both a possibility. Let me show you one model that we tend to look at pretty heavily these days because it's been performing so well. The European, okay? This, the National Hurricane Center's forecast, this right there on the west coast of Florida is where the European model puts the storm. But even they have been waffling because look at where this was earlier today. 12 hours ago, it was an east coast storm with the eye right over Miami Beach. As far as the timing goes, tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last time for you folks in South Florida to get your preparations done, and then you either get out of Dodge or you hunker down. This is a huge storm. It is forecast to be a Cat 4 in your area. We're talking winds 145 miles per hour versus maybe like 185, which is what they were at the strongest. But then it continues in some way, shape, or form, either right up the spine of Florida, up the west coast, or up the east coast, still maintaining hurricane strength as it makes its way into Georgia sometime on Monday. So Georgia, South Carolina, even North Carolina. If it wobbles a bit, your shoreline is at risk as well, Anthony.
All right, Lonnie Quinn, we know when your shirt sleeves are rolled up. Serious. Thanks, Lonnie. Now let's go to my colleagues who will be covering this in the following days. And here again is Jeff Glore in Miami.
It's born from the
Anthony,
ocean.
thank you very much. We have a team of correspondents covering Irma, beginning with Tony DeCopel, who is in Puerto Rico.
And we'll close.
From island to devastated island, Irma clobbered them with its brutal strength. In St. Martin, almost every building suffered damage. This man says he has nothing left. No roof, no place to sleep, nothing.
Dang.
Barbuda, one of the flattest islands in the Caribbean, was even worse. 95% of the buildings have been destroyed, according to Prime Minister Gaston Brown.
And this has been one of the worst days of my life. The entire country has been decimated. I have never seen anything like this before.
In Puerto Rico, Irma left thousands homeless and most of the island in the dark.
It was loud. It was loud.
Ron Robles spent a sleepless night when his roof blew off.
And make a big noise.
Right here?
That's the roof. That thing blew up. Just in seconds. It took us maybe 3 seconds to blow that thing up.
In Haiti, this port town is prone to flooding, and the island is bracing for its turn with Irma.
And now, with barely a chance to breathe, another hurricane is bearing down on the Caribbean. Hurricane Jose